Hey, it's the Profit Answer Man, Rocky Lalvani. If you're new to the podcast, check out my interview with Mike Michalowicz. It's episode number 2. If you want to hear about each chapter in the Profit First book, go back and listen to episodes 3 through 13. Episode 1 is the why and how. On the Profit Answer Man, we learn money mastery without all the complicated accounting mumbo-jumbo using a simple system. Your accountant is busy documenting your transactions and creating a rear-view mirror of what happened. My guess is you don't even look at the reports they sent you. If you're like most business owners, you struggle with this, and it's not your fault. We aren't taught money in school, and accountants aren't taught how to be profitable. The Profit First system created by Mike Michalowicz works, and he certified me to help you implement the system in your business. Remember, the new equation is sales minus profit equals expenses. Let's face it, without cash flow, you can't pay your employees, buy needed materials, or pay your mortgage and support your family. I help you to do that and more, so you can focus on the parts of the business you love and receive the rewards for your labor and investment into your business. The stronger you are as a business owner, the more jobs you create, the better we are as a country. Small business owners are the backbone of America, and for that, you deserve to be well rewarded. Just remember, more revenue does not equal more profit. That's why we focus on the bottom line. Hopefully you checked out our special episode earlier this month where we talked about the Profit Blueprint and the program that we are launching for you to make it much more accessible and get you the tools that you need so that you can implement this either on your own or with our help. Here's the deal. Final week. This is the last week of October. We're going to be closing down the beta of the Profit Blueprint. Once that closes and we take those people through the beginning, we'll be back with the course. However, it's going to be back at significantly more in investment for you. So if you want to get in at the lower price point and get to work with us closely as we build it out, now's the time. Check the email link in the notes, sign up, and we will get you onto a call to show you what it's all about, let you know, and show you the options. So check it out and sign up if you're interested. Our focus today is on profitable marketing. I focus on sales and marketing a lot because it's the engine that drives revenue. However, we have to make sure that result is profitable. Making unprofitable sales will never scale. And too often, marketers are good at marketing to us, the entrepreneur, but maybe not so good with our clients and the messages that they resonate with us. It's important to take the right steps in the right order, and too often we skip a few steps and we wonder why it's not working. I was given that advice very early in my journey, and I took it to heart to build it properly so that it would pay off in the end. That's our topic today. Our guest is an international best-selling author, Michelle Nedelec. She is an expert in entrepreneurialism and the founder of Awareness Strategies. She runs her own series of companies for over 22 years, and for over 15 years, she's been helping sales reps, entrepreneurs, and executives to continually double their profits and revenues. She's not only has what it takes to help her clients build a $1 million business, but she does it time and time again. Michelle particularly loves to talk about marketing automation systems, integration, and support. For the past 6 years, she's been focusing on helping entrepreneurs bring their business online from conceptualization to done-for-you IT automation. She also happens to have a great sense of humor and a love for stilettos. Let's meet Michelle. Welcome to the Profit Answer Man, Michelle Nedelec. It's great to have you join us today.
Thank you for having me, Rocky. I appreciate it.
Can you share a little bit about yourself and your business?
Absolutely. So I am the creative director of my company, which I co-founded with my partner, Awareness Strategies, and we are a done-for-you marketing tech company. Do you want a longer version than that?
Sure, why not?
Awesome. So basically, we're working with especially speakers, authors, experts in their industry that want to be able to go out and speak to collect clients. We help them do their tech through their events and things like that they're doing. They need to be the face of the company, and usually tech isn't their forte. The other side of our business is people who aren't necessarily speakers, authors, and coaches. They might be professionals, there's engineers or tradespeople, and their mojo is something very different than the tech. We help them to monetize their marketing so that they are creating more revenue and profit in their businesses, not just throwing money into the proverbial social media bonfires, which can be overwhelmingly expensive when people aren't putting their money in the right places for their business.
And I find that a lot. So how do we know if we're putting the money in the right place or the wrong place?
Great question. Often when people are going out online, what they're missing out on is what we have is 3 steps to marketing their business. One is you want to have an internal launch, meaning that you're promoting your products and services to your own clients and your own followers. So most people will have an email list of past clients, prospects, people like that they have in their database. We want to make sure that when we're sending those marketing messages out to them first, those people have at some point reached out to you and said, hey, I love what you're doing. I might not be ready yet, but I love the concept of it. We may need that in our life and business. Those are your ideal clients reaching, or they're not necessarily your ideal clients, but they are people that are interested in you. So they should be most receptive to your conversation. It's pretty quick and easy to tell whether or not that's the wrong audience. And a lot of people have done that before. Like we've pivoted in our business. We used to do personal development, and then we went into the tech side. Obviously, that's a huge pivot. Most people don't take it that far. So the audience that we had attracted at one point in time is like, no, I don't get this whole tech thing. We're out of here. And that's totally cool. But it's in that messaging to be able to hone in on your own audience. When they're interested and they're buying, great. Now you have something that's sellable, if you will. Then we go to external people, usually affiliates, people that are willing to promote you and say, hey, yeah, this is an awesome product. I love working with Rocky. This is going to be great. You're going to love it. And then see how it works in those audiences. Once it converts well in those audiences, keep in mind, you're still tweaking, you're still buzzing, you're still figuring out what works the best. When you have something that you can put your hooks into and you go, yeah, that works, then you can start looking at cold audiences and putting money out into advertising and things like that. Because when you get that out of order, you don't really know if it's the message that you're not hitting. You don't know if it's the audience that you're not hitting. There's so many variables in that realm that it makes it really expensive to try and figure out what is a hit.
And I get the feeling most people start with the third group, cold audiences.
Yeah. Because they think it's going to be easy.
they think don't have their message tweaked.
Right. Yeah. And it becomes, it's a great conversation to have. A lot of people in the industry of, no offense, guys, but Facebook ads and Google marketing, they're really good at sales. And they're like, hey, we can totally do this. We got a lot of marketing experience. We can hone your message. And they probably can make you have good messaging, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's an audience that wants to buy that thing from you. Like, there's a whole lot more that goes into this whole formula than just, if I'm willing to put money out on it, they will come. It doesn't work that way.
No, and I've heard that in other parts of marketing as well. It's kind of the same thing in the book publishing industry. They're like, don't go to a book publisher unless you've got an audience of 100,000, because they're not going to help you grow to that. And so I think you have to understand who your audience is, the message that resonates with them, and then you can start going out into the wild and finding them. But until you do.
Yep. It totally makes sense from a book publishing point of view, is that they want to make a book that's a success. So if you already have followers, even though they may not understand your message, if you have 100,000 followers, clearly there's 100,000 people there that are going, hey, I get their message. So they can look at it and go, like, I don't know why that works, but okay. And we can publish a book on that. Otherwise, you have to feed the mind of the publisher and go, hey, is this a book that you would read? And now you've just narrowed down your entire potential from, 6 billion people down to one. And now you're marketing to that one person, and that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to them. It doesn't make sense to you. So it's in that way, it's kind of like, yeah, you're going to the bank and asking for money when you have 100,000 grand in the bank, and you're like, clearly I don't need it, but now's a good time to ask for some money. The same kind of thing happens because they have 6 billion as opposed to your 100,000.
So you do our favorite thing, which is helping people to double profits.
Yes.
And a little bit with revenue. So tell us about that. How do you help people double profits?
Well, one thing, as you well know, is people need to understand profits first, right? To say, hey, I got this great program and we're putting it on, and it's, we only need 7 more clients in order to make it work. I step back and I go, what do you mean you only need 7 clients to make it work? Because I am the strategy girl, and strategy is above all for me. So I want to know kind of if this is going to work, because our job is to take them to not only necessarily get 7 clients, but maybe get 70 clients or 700 clients. And if they're not profitable and they can't create a system that can sustain them so that they can scale their business, then it's not going to work. You are going to have steel on steel at best, which is an ugly, nasty sound. And it's just not a great way to run your business. Profit is the oil that allows the machine to run, and you need to have built-in oil in your system. Otherwise, you're going to burn it out.
Rather quickly. Do you find most people have profits in their system? Like when they come to you, are they thinking that way, or is that something you're shifting for them?
There are the occasional businesses that are set up to create they've set up their business such that they know that they have profit and that they can scale it. So those kind of people are already in business. They're going, hey, we used to have some tech. We need you to replace them. Can you come in and do this? This is how our operation runs. Awesome. Those people are in that at least growth stage of their business, if not in the scaling stage of their business. It's when we start working with new people, especially that are in the startup stage, where they're throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks, trying to figure out kind of, I have this fantastic idea. I think everybody's going to love it. It's like, not so much. And, that's not really what's going on. And they're trying to get more people in the door, more eyes on their material. So they're really thinking that as soon as I can just find some clients, then I can make profit. As soon as I can pay my visa, then I can worry about paying me. As soon as, and those are usually the ones in the emergency zone that we like to say.
They'll be profitable when.
Yes.
It's funny because that's what we all think. I've got this great business idea. You know what I never hear people say? I've been out talking to people, and 100 people told me they have this massive problem, and they would throw money at anyone who can solve it. And I think I've solved it.
What?
Right? Now, that changes the whole game, but nobody ever says that. They all say, I've got a great idea.
Well, and I think, too, that scenario that you gave is great for an innovator, somebody that invents things. They are the people that tend to go, hey, I'm sitting in the dark. This is ridiculous. How do I get out of the dark? Hey, are you sitting in the dark? You're not sitting in the dark. How come you're not sitting in the dark? What did you do? I actually have light. I actually have a window. I actually have all these wonderful things. You might want to come and check them out. Whereas most of us are sitting in the dark going, I think if most people just, went internal when the lights were off, that they'd solve all, something completely abstract. And it's like, really what they want is the light. And that's really what they want. And you have to have the wherewithal to go outside of yourself, to go and check out the world and see what's going on. Now, don't get me wrong. When I say go inside yourself and you're doing introspection, that's awesome. But when you're just having a conversation with the faculty of me, myself, and I, not quite.
And it's funny. This is an area that I think people get stuck in. And it really, business comes down to a simple thing. People have problems and they want to solve them. And they don't care what your gadget is to solve them. If you can show them that you can solve their problem, more than likely they'll throw money at you. But we all focus on the gadget in between, the mechanism of how we solve the problem. And we sell the features and the benefits of that. And these people are like, I don't care. Here's my problem. Fix it. I'll give you money. And then we're like, but let me tell you about this feature. They're like, no. And that comes down to marketing and sales, which I think a lot of times people struggle with.
It really does. And oftentimes I will take people completely left field so that they understand it. So it's Halloween or something and you're getting dressed up and you just want a Ronald McDonald wig. You're going, I just want a really bright red wig that looks ridiculous. It's all I want. I need it now. You go into the store and they're like, oh, we have some fabulous synthetic lace. We have these ones with the netting on them. We have these ones. And I don't get it. I don't care. It's not what I want. I just want a wig that looks like Ronald McDonald. Now, if you happen to have two wigs that look like that, and one of them is going to last you about 5 minutes until it rains, and then it's going to, dissolve and turn into nothing, and you know that it's going to rain tonight, you probably want to have the conversation about upgrading to, the fancier version. Great. Then you can have those conversations. But until you've honed in on what their problem is, why they want it, if they walk in looking like Cinderella and they're asking for a Ronald McDonald wig, okay, you can have some conversation. But if they've got the full clown suit on and they're ready to go, you pretty much know why they want it. But you still have to ask, what are the problems? Where are you going with this? Is it going to rain tonight?
And that's all about having conversations and listening. So you do the other thing that so many business owners want, which is to build $1 million business. So how do you help them build $1 million businesses?
Well, first step in that is backing up the bus and finding out why they want to build $1 million business, because it is a very attractive landmark, very attractive landmark. But there's a few ways to run $1 million business, as you know. One is you can do it all yourself. You can burn yourself out. You can do it with absolutely zero profit, zero resources, and it collapses before it's done. If it costs you $1.5 million to build that business, yeah, you've done it, but at what expense? At what cost? Then you can build one that actually has the profitability in it, that actually has some systems to it, that actually runs like a well-oiled machine, that allows you to go, okay, we're getting somewhere here, and this is a milestone for us. Not everybody really wants that, though. A lot of people just would like to go on holidays, sit on a beach, wake up, fall in love, go back to work and do something that they feel profitable at. And if that's the case, there are numerous better ways to be able to create that lifestyle than to have $1 million business. In fact, there's probably more ways to create that lifestyle that I was talking about before than there are ways to create $1 million business, all of which will create happiness and peace of mind for you, and $1 million business won't. And then there's crazy people like me that go, no, I really want to have this kind of a business, because then I'll know that we're on track to being able to make 2 million and 5 million and 8 million. And then you go, okay, so we're not just looking at the milestone. We're looking at, you want to actually create a business that is self-sustaining, and this is what it brings to the world. So it's a very different conversation to have with people, but it is very much a shiny object that a lot of people just go, yeah, that looks nice.
And the number one secret to doing that is getting out of the way.
Yes. The number one secret to doing that is getting out of the way, which is why if you're building a business, say, hey, I want that little badge of honor that says, I ran $1 million business. That's a terrible reason to run $1 million business because it'll probably run you into the ground. It's your ego has to get out of the way. You have to implement systems to be able to do it. And you have to have the profits in place in order to pay for those systems. So it means that you're going to have to make better decisions that you're probably making right now. And it's not to say that you're making bad decisions right now. It's just that you're probably not making $1 million decisions right now. If you were, you'd already have it. So now we have to look at what kind of decisions are you making and how are you getting in your own way? Which brings us back to the beginning of you got to get out of your own way.
These things are so simple, and doing simple is hard.
Right?
So you're
much fun. The drama. Come on.
And your area is actually in marketing automation systems. So
yes.
What does that mean?
That means that there are two kinds of businesses, in my opinion. One is, hey, I got the service for you. Do you want it? Yes, no, great. Let's set up a meeting on Tuesday at 1. What's your credit card number? If you run that kind of a business, awesome. You probably don't need us. Well, you definitely don't need us. You need a cell phone and a merchant account. And that is fantastic. If, on the other hand, you're looking at creating a more complex business with a few more moving pieces to it, then you need to start looking at the systems that you have in place. And systems, in a broad sense, can be, how do you find prospects that are interested in your business? Is it phoning your mom and going, hey, mom, did you talk to anybody? Or is it going out to networking events? Is it sending out emails? Is it doing Facebook ads? How are you bringing those people in? And then looking at not only what you're saying to them, what the messaging is, what technology is involved in that, who does that, what kind of price point is that? Should you be assessing that and giving it to somebody else that you can charge or that will charge less to do it than is being taken out of your business bank account in order to have you do it, which a lot of people don't look at. Like, you have the potential of making $2,000 an hour and you're busy doing something that you could be paying somebody $50 an hour. It doesn't make sense. So it's being able to look at the whole business structure, and particularly the marketing aspect of it, and going, okay, so how do we make this as easy as possible so that you are bringing in as much revenue as profitable revenue as possible in the easiest way with your most ideal clients. So we want the ideal scenario. We go after that first, start putting some money in your pockets, and then going, okay, now what do you want to do?
It's nice to be able to say no to clients that aren't ideal.
Right? It is super fun. And so many people, so many times, find it really difficult to know who they don't want to work with. And sometimes we'll get, well, I don't want to work with jerks. Well, yeah, if they're wearing, a tattoo in the front of their forehead that says I'm a jerk, that makes it really obvious. The problem is most jerks are super nice people that just get really upset all of a sudden, or they just don't know how to communicate all of a sudden, or they just had expectations that aren't being met all of a sudden. And so you're not really looking for the jerks. It's like you need to understand how your business operates and whether or not the way they operate their business is those two cogs are going to fit nicely together, so that you both operate like a Swiss watch instead of like a horse and donkey cart.
I agree with you. Makes a lot of sense.
Just, yep, tick, done.
Just do this.
Mic drop.
All right. But I know it sounds simple, but this takes a lot of work. And I think that's the reality of it.
It takes a lot of work, and people aren't sure, kind of, where do I put my money? Do I put it in personal development? Do I put it in my messaging? Do I put it in my tech systems? And the answer is yes. So now you have to figure out, okay, well, what's the first thing we need to do? And the first thing you need to do, if you're listening to this, regardless of where you're at in your business, you could be in business for 25 years now. The first thing you still have to do is look at, okay, what was the intention of this business, and are we still heading in that direction? And if you're off on that, then you got to back up the bus and go, okay, things may have changed. They do that in life and business. So where do you want it to go now? And when you look at where you want it to go now, is that easy for you? Is it something you've done before millions of times? You know how to make that happen. Awesome. The problem happens is when it becomes something that you don't know how to do. I want to go over there. I can see over there. I want to go over there, but I don't know how. That's an awesome goal. To say, hey, I want to create this thing that's never been done before, and I have no idea how to get there. You've just kind of exponentially created a lot of problems for yourself. Doesn't mean it's insurmountable. It just means you're going to have a lot of help doing it. So if anybody's ever done it before, awesome. You want to implore their assistance on it. If nobody's ever done it before, has anybody done anything like it before? There's always kind of these success leaves signs. We need to go look for those signs where they are and how to mimic or model after certain people and what they did to create it. There's a ton of people on the planet that have created things that never existed before. Tons of them.
That they have, and they usually make a lot of money.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that at all. But you just want to back up the bus a little bit and go, okay, what do I need to put in place before money? Because money is usually the last thing you want to put in place.
Okay. That makes total sense. I'm thinking for a second. All right. Yep. That makes sense.
Stump you on that one.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. We don't.
That's my entire objective of this whole interview.
We don't deploy capital until we've got a plan in place. We don't just throw money everywhere and hope that some of it actually comes back one day.
Exactly.
So can you give us some examples of what is a marketing automation system?
Awesome. So I'll start with the simplest. I'll give you an example of the simplest, and then I'll go into the more complex of it. So the simplest marketing automation could be if you find yourself writing the same email over and over and over again to somebody, you need to automate that. So my father always said, once is an accident, twice is a mistake, 3 times is a habit. And we kind of said it jokingly, even if you want the habit or you don't want the habit, the second time's always an accident. Don't think you've caught on to this quite yet. Got to do it a third time. So once you've done that in business 3 times, now you know that you need to automate that. So you either, videotape it, if it's a conversation that you have with people, if it's a message that you're sending people, whatever it is, then you want to be able to deploy that. So when somebody comes into your office and say, hey, what are your office hours? You can automatically reply to that. You don't need to be there. Nobody needs to be there. Then when it comes to more complex systems and things that you can automate, once you've done, say, a webinar once before, then you can start to automate the promotions of that webinar. You can automate the affiliate marketing for that webinar. You can promote the confirmation emails for it. You can automate the reminder emails. None of that needs to be personal. Nobody cares. I just want to know the link. I just want to know what time it is. I don't care who wrote that email. That does not need to be personal. When I go to you and go, hey, Rocky, would you like to be on my show? Okay, that I want to have a personal response back and go, oh, hey, I don't know. What's your show, Bo? What do you do? How do you do it? Right? That's when we start engaging in conversation. And that's the kind of interactions that you want to have as an individual, because that's what creates connection with your prospects, your vendors, your everybody. But once you've had the exact same conversation over and over again, it's like, hey, do you do interviews? No, sorry, I don't. I'm not at this time. I'm not going to be doing any interviews until 2050. Awesome. You can automate that, right? It's your words over and over and over again. Does that make sense?
It does. I use Text Expander.
Nice.
And so when you were saying those things, I'm like, oh, that's this shortcut. This is this shortcut. And literally, yes. I type 3 or 4 characters, and there's so much stuff that I type over and over again that I've made the handful of characters, and it just drops paragraphs or whatever information in there, even the phone number. Like, I don't type out the phone number. I have a shortcut that just drops my phone number or my email or any of that stuff into forms so that it's much, much faster and it saves me time.
Nice. And that is fantastic. So somebody could even have just, a Word document with a bunch of pre-existing answers you can cut and paste. That is a form of automation. It's faster than retyping it all. You could then move up and have software that does it, like you said. You could have software that automatically sends the message, so you don't even have to use the keystrokes. You could have
a VA.
One of the things. What? Somebody else doing the work for you? You could. You could have somebody else setting up the automated systems so that you don't even have to touch the software that does the automation. Like there's this gamut that we can go about to what extent we're automating things. And to some extent, it depends on what stage you're at in your business, right? The way a $1 billion business automates isn't going to be the way, mom and pop shop automates. It's just not going to be. It's overkill. It doesn't make any sense. And it probably overshoots the problem. So you want to be kind of cognizant of where you are in business, what makes sense now, what is scalable, if that's the direction you want to go, or if you just want to continue running a mom and pop show, this is perfect, this will do, and it's not going to change. Life is great. Carry on.
I think too often the objection we get is it's going to take me longer to automate it. I'm like, yeah, it'll take you longer to automate it, but then you're going to save a ton of time on the other side of it because it will all be automated and you won't have to keep doing it over and over. And what I have found for my automations is get the first one done, start using it. Then if you don't like it, you can adjust it or improve it. You can
always change it. And you're going to change it. I mean, you're going to change the dates. You're going to change the season. You might change the feel of it. But when you have a promotional email that converts every time you send it out, you probably don't want to be messing with it if it's a good conversion rate. So when I say it converts, I don't mean it converts 1%. I mean it well, that's not true. 1% can be good if you're in a cold market. But if you're in a warm market and you're looking for conversions and it's doing, 25, 30%, that's awesome. You may test another one, but you're certainly not going to go and change that willy-nilly and just break it apart and go, oh, I was sick of sending that email out. Your prospects aren't sick of receiving the email because if they haven't bought into it yet, then they're just not ready for it yet and they want to see it again. They forget about it, right? How many times, I don't know, that I've read an email of something that I was actually interested in. It's like, oh yeah, I got to do that. Oh yeah, I got to do. Oh, it's a good thing they reminded me because I could have go and sign up and do that thing, right? We all do that. We don't get sick of the reminders of those. It's the ones that we don't necessarily want to hear from, or, things that we feel bad about that we should have done, but we haven't done. But that's got nothing to do with business owner.
And that's another thing that we like to measure is conversion rate, because if we can change the conversion rate, we can increase the number of clients we have without spending any more money, just by putting a little bit of effort into that, whatever that conversion process is.
Absolutely.
So we've talked a lot about how to get successful, but yet sometimes things stand in the way of getting the success that we want.
What? Just because you want to be successful, you got this plan, you got systems. It doesn't just go smoothly straight up into this little highway to heaven.
Not always. So what prevents
no,
most
never,
people?
I would imagine. If you find anyone on the planet that can convince me that it was a smooth journey, I would love to have that conversation.
So what gets in the way of success for most of us?
For most of us, I would have to say about 105% of us, it's ourselves. it's ourselves. And the problem is that we go, oh, but our sales team, they should have done better at that. Oh, the marketing team, they should have done better than that. Oh, my phone system, they cut out on me, and that was the problem. And if somebody's looking to all these external situations of what's gone wrong, I go, okay, so what do they all have in common?
You.
You. I don't know how, and I don't know why, but if you want to find out, we can start looking at that as to why these things all have you in common, or we can start to looking at how do you take control of the situation and start getting some more of the results that you're looking for. Now, that doesn't mean that your phone system's never going to go down. It doesn't mean that tech's always going to have their updates done and that they're always going to integrate smoothly with every other software that you have. It doesn't mean any of that stuff, but it does mean that there is what we call locus of control that you want to be able to hone in on and understand what that control is and how to be able to manipulate it, articulate it, and utilize it such that you're getting the results that you want.
And that's always important.
It is. Right. I mean, we as entrepreneurs, and we'll go, oh, but I've done so much personal development. I understand my mind. I understand how it works. But that guy was a jerk. Okay. And let's back up the bus. And why did you think that person was a jerk? And we started to realize that we have these buttons that get pushed. I like to say we look like the cockpit of a 747. the majority of us get in there and we don't know what any of those buttons do. Right? It's like it's our 747, it's our cockpit, but we have no idea what buttons are being pushed, when, why, or how. So when we hired the quote unquote wrong person, or when the VA does the wrong thing, then we clearly ask them to do this thing. Like, well, maybe we weren't as clear as we could have been, and maybe we didn't, patiently listen for them to say, do you know what you're doing? Oh, yeah. Okay, does yeah mean you know what you're doing? Or does that mean that you heard that I want you to do this job? It's like, and sometimes it just takes, a little love and patience. Sometimes, majority of time, though, it requires taking a look at us and how do we articulate things? How do we think about things? What are our expectations in the situation? And understanding that being in business isn't just about making $1 million, quote unquote. It's about who are you becoming in the process of this, and how do you maximize your impact on the world? Now, that may not be obvious to you yet. You may not be at the point in life where you care yet, and that's okay. Because the way a 35-year-old looks at building their business is going to be totally different than the way a 75-year-old looks at building their business, just because of life experiences and the motivations that we tend to have as human beings at those age points. It's all good. But business isn't just about business. It's a full expression of who you are as an individual and what you want to bring into the world. When you fully understand that, you start to realize, hey, maybe that guy in accounting, that issue that happened wasn't just about numbers. Maybe I had something to do with that. And the more we understand that, the easier it is to create successful businesses.
One of the first things I do with new clients is learn about their childhood and their programming, so I can see what I have to deal with going forward with them.
Thank God for personal development. You'd have some serious hands on your hand. That's funny.
If people would like to learn more about you and your business, where is the best place for them to check you out?
Let me just warn you, if you have some unresolved issues and a family-run business you're looking at, it's okay. No, I'm kidding. Totally kidding. But you are one of the most fun demographics to work with. Seriously, you can come to awarenessstrategies.com, and we have some fun toys for you there. One particular is the website audit. We would love to have you come in, check out your website, see what Google's got, your green lights, your yellow lights, and your red lights. Where is it letting your traffic go through easily? Where is it slowing it down? And where is it stopping it completely? And if you want to take that report to your team, you can totally do that. If you want to handle it yourself, you can do that. Or if you want some help with it, love to connect with you and just decipher all the fun stuff and see what you can do to improve your ideal client's ideal journey into your website.
That's awesome. And I will put that in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Awesome. My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Rocky.
Do you understand your clients' needs and what they want? Can you articulate it and show that you care about them? Also, knowing who is a good fit for you and who's not a good fit. And then learning to say no. Take the time to think through this process and don't rush it. It's easy to spend money hoping for sales, only find 6 months later it didn't work and too many dollars spent. Build out the systems, test, and repeat. We measure all of these for our clients to see what type of return they get by channel and how much they should spend, and are they getting a return on that investment. Our Profit Blueprint program also teaches how to do this, and it's got Excel sheets to help you figure it out. Check it out.
If you'd like for us to be a part of your profitability journey, we have different programs available ranging from do-it-yourself to one-on-one coaching. Our course, The Profit Blueprint, teaches you everything you need to know to transform your profitability. There are 3 different tiers ranging from DIY to done with you so that businesses of all sizes can get the support that's best. Join the waitlist in the show notes to get more information and be a part of the next cohort. If you want a done-for-you service, you can hire us as your Chief Profitability Officers. We only work with a handful of clients, so they all get our full attention. We work with business owners who have or are growing to $500,000 to $10 million in revenue. You can use the scheduling link in the show notes to get on our calendar for a good fit conversation to see if we're the right people to support you and how we can help you.
This episode of the Profit Answer Man podcast is brought to you by SMBpodcastnetwork.com. The network is a collection of podcasts and shows from around the internet which focus on bringing you interviews with amazing guests who share actionable advice, ideas, and information for small and medium-sized business owners and entrepreneurs. Visit www.smbpodcastnetwork.com to find more great shows and easily subscribe to be notified of new episodes. It's a great way to discover quality content. If you've discovered us via the network, then I hope you enjoy today's show and will consider subscribing directly so you never miss our episodes. Don't forget to check out my other podcast, Richer Soul, where we talk about life beyond money and how to live that ultimate life and become a better leader in your company. As we close out, let's repeat the mantra. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. Have an abundant and profitable week.